let's settle in. Welcome to our meditation time. I would invite you to get comfortable. That always has to come first. Get comfortable. There are enough distractions in our mind as we sit for meditation that we don't need to have more distractions in our body. So allow yourself to be in a space, in a configuration that feels good. And then as we're settling in, I would also encourage you that if you get uncomfortable or restless, give yourself permission to adjust. Again, we know the mind will come and try to distract us. Let's give the body a chance to be our ally in these few minutes that we have. So as you're settling and your eyes are beginning to close or look down, let's just find some good calming breath together. So just slowly breathing into this moment. And then slowly breathing out as the moment passes. And again, slowly breathing in. And then slowly breathing out. And inhale. And exhale. And as you're settling and the body is beginning to find some stillness, just check in and see how you are on this beautiful day, in this moment, how you feel. What are you carrying on your shoulders from the day? What are you holding on to? And just have a sense of the things that might kind of creep in and attempt to distract your attention. They are far less prone to do that if we're aware of them. So just notice how you feel. What thoughts have tied up your mind today? What emotions have sat right there in your heart? And again, what are you carrying on your shoulders? And it's with that awareness that we'll enter into these few moments of stillness and calm and peace together. And over the next several times that we meet together, whether that's live or on the recording, however you chose to show up, I would like us to just pause and think about our relationship with ourselves. We're going to dive into some ancient Toltec teachings called the Four Agreements across the next few times we have together. But before we even begin to explore about these agreements and these ways of living, I'd like us to spend just a few minutes today just checking in on our relationship with ourselves. What are the things that cause us to act? How do we feel about certain things in our life? Are there times where we realize we've done something or decided something and really we're not even sure why? Are we kind to ourselves when we make a mistake? What motivates us? Those are just a few questions to think about when we think about this idea of our relationship with ourselves. Do we really know what that relationship looks like? You know, whenever you get into a new relationship with a new significant other, you want to get to know them. You want to find out what makes them tick, what makes them smile, what drives them crazy. But how often do we truly just pause and get to know ourselves? It's this constant evolution because we're always changing and developing and learning. So we need to check in with ourselves on a regular basis. There's this concept in relationships and in motivation where some of us are motivated by reward and where some of us are motivated by the fear of punishment. And there are probably times in all of our lives where we've all experienced both. We do things because there's a reward at the other end. And then we do other things because we don't want to experience the negative, the fear of punishment. And what we find as we study human beings and the ways that we all act is that sometimes we become conditioned in those ways. And it's like that question of, I don't even know why I did what I did. I don't know why I made that choice. But if we'll pause, we can check in with those conditionings and then begin to do something more intentional. We can act from a place that is connected deep to our heart and our soul, instead of just these conditioned patterns that we've learned over time. But the only way to do that is to sit with ourselves, just like we're doing here. And so I want to just pause and ask a few questions and see if we can get to know ourselves a little better. And then as these agreements are presented and reflected upon in the coming days, we'll go into it with a clear relationship with us, truly investing time in who we are and what motivates us and what makes us smile and what hurts our heart. And so as we're here together, just for these next few minutes, I would invite you just to think for a second. What are the rewards that you find yourself working for? What are the things that really motivate you? This thing at the end of this effort, this thing that you're shooting for by working hard or doing certain things. What are the rewards truly that motivate you? For some of us, they're tangible. For some of us, they're conceptual. Some of us, they're relational. But we all have things in our life that we work for because there's this promise or expectation or anticipation of something good on the other end. So what is that for you? And then let's ask ourselves, what are the things that we are afraid to have happen? The things that we try to avoid and push away. And that it's that fear of those things that causes us to act as well. And again, for some of us, those fears, those aversions are actual, tangible things. For others, they're conceptual ideas of things, and for others, it's in our relationships. So just ask yourself, what are the things that I try to avoid, the things that I fear happening? And have those things cause me to act certain ways over time. And then I want to dig just a little bit deeper. What are the things in our life that we've settled for and put up with because of these conditionings that we've just grown accustomed to over time? What are the things in your life that probably need to go, but you just kind of put up with them over time because you've just become conditioned to either fear an outcome or to work towards something, and so you just settle. And as we ask these questions of ourselves, we get a really true sense of who we are, of the things that we've allowed into our life, of the patterns that we've settled into. And it can be a little disheartening. But the beautiful thing is, just like that breath we did just moments ago, that as we breathe in, it is a new moment. And then as we breathe out, that moment passes. And if we can make some new choices, that with each breath we're a little further away from those conditioned behaviors. We're one breath further away from settling. We're one breath further away from allowing things to be a part of our life that just don't serve us well. And so again, before we dig into these agreements over the next few times, I want us just to understand, what are the patterns that we've just kind of allowed? These rewards that motivate us to just act, or these fear of things that cause us to avoid acting. And so as we get ready to settle in and just sit in the quiet, each of us just noticing what reflections come across our mind, I wanted to share where I am on this path of the reward and the avoiding of the other side. And I know there was a time in my life where it was the rewards, the good things that motivated me to act and to make choices. But the deeper I get along this journey, and the more things that I begin to sit with and grapple with and understand, I find myself falling into this pattern on the other side. I worry about people's perceptions. I worry that my actions might cause someone to stumble because I wasn't intentional with how I acted. I worry that I'll act in what I think is a worthy way of doing and being, but then find out later that it was probably a little bit selfish. So what I found over the quite recent past is that instead of working toward things that motivate me and that I see as a reward or a positive, I almost feel paralyzed by these things that I worry about, that I want to avoid, that I fear. And it's a conditioning that I want, with each breath, to get a little further away from. And so I share that with you just to help you see that no matter how many times we show up to meditation, no matter how many spiritual texts we read, no matter how many minutes we invest in this practice, there are parts of us that have just become conditioned over time that we've just got to keep sitting with and working through and owning. They don't just go away. Conditioned habits and behaviors stick around for as long as we allow them to. So the encouragement today is that with each breath we take here in this practice, first we become aware of what these things are in our life, and then second, we get one breath further away from them, making new patterns in our life, patterns that we choose with intention, that we choose from a place of connection to our soul and our purpose. So I would invite us all just to sit with ourselves. See if any of those patterns, those habits just come across your mind and reveal themselves to you. It might make you a little uncomfortable if you notice things, but it's with that awareness that we will truly grow. So just continue to breathe in and out and see what comes up. And as you continue to sit and breathe, just check in and see how you feel about the things that you're understanding more about yourself. Because the one lesson that I can tell you that I've learned through this practice is I will never grow and begin to change if I'm sitting with myself from a place of hate or dissatisfaction or frustration. But it's in those times when I sit with myself and I embrace the totality of me, all the things I worry about, all the things I fear, all the things I want to avoid. When I begin to embrace that about myself, that is when I begin to grow. It's not quick, and it's not without struggle or discomfort. But again, I realize that each breath I take, I'm one breath further along this path and away from those conditioned ways of being. I am years and years in the making, and so I encourage you, take that breath now. Embrace who you are now. And then when that next breath comes, you'll be one breath further away from those conditioned ways of being. And you'll be moving toward this state of growth, the state of returning to the essence of who you really are. And those conditionings will begin to fall away like plates of armor, away from your body, away from your soul, away from your heart. So in the coming days, just find time to sit with yourself. And in that sitting, see if you can find the embracing and the acceptance, all the parts of you. And see if that motivation can begin to create new patterns and habits within you. One breath, one moment at a time. Namaste.